Okay, so we're live. All right. Hey, Tim, thanks for joining us today.
Glad to do it for you.
So can you please introduce yourself to the viewers?
I'm Tim Hale. I'm originally from Kalamazoo, Michigan. I have been involved with soccer since I was 10 years old and started junior league teams, played on the very first ever junior league team, the Kalamazoo Internationals, back in 1971. Went from there and played with Western Michigan University. Also went to the Detroit Express and played on the reserve league team and was the leading goal scorer. Then I left there and went to Chicago, had a quick cup of coffee over there, and then came back. And then I was involved with building the American Indoor Soccer Association. And so I played for several more years after that on a semi-pro team, a lot like what the NPSL is right now. We went to the national finals for the over 30s. And between all that, I've done coached for over 30 years. I refereed for about another 30 years. And then I've also recruited for a number of colleges nationally. And then I got into broadcasting, and that's where I am today, in the broadcasting booth.
So going back in time, who introduced you to soccer?
How I got introduced to soccer is that I lived next door to a gentleman by the name of William Mack McCandless, and he had a horse farm. And so I would always go over there and feed his Shetland ponies. And then we started talking, and he was originally from Scotland. And he says, "Are you interested in learning how to play soccer?" I go, "Yeah," because I always loved to kick. I was always kicking balls around. And so he started showing me, and he says, "Can you get some of your friends, because there's this team called the Kalamazoo Internationals, which is a men's team. And during the winter months, they played inside a gymnasium, and it was at the high school where I eventually went to, a Gull Lake High School." And so that's how I got introduced to it. And then they started training us indoors, and I eventually got enough of my friends who got excited and did it with me to where we formed the very first junior soccer team in Kalamazoo.
Nice. And you mentioned the American Soccer Association that you built. You're a part of that process. How'd you get involved in creating that league?
How I got involved with that was a gentleman by the name of Bob Lemieux, and he was originally the general manager and also the coach of the Kalamazoo Wings, which was in the International Hockey League in Kalamazoo. And he was there for a number of years. And then they started getting involved a little bit with soccer, in which they eventually hosted a game between the Chicago Sting and a team out of Denmark, Nasved, and to play an exhibition match. And so during that period of time, I got to know Bob very well. Well, shortly after that, he resigned, and he became the general manager of the Fort Lauderdale Strikers underneath Joe Robbie. And matter of fact, he was the general manager when they went to the Cup up in Washington, D.C., and actually won the old NASL championship. And from there, he got out of that, and then he saw the vision of soccer. And he knew that the only way that we could get this game to grow was we got to somehow make it a little more Americanized. And this is back in the 80s. So he said, we have to do something. And so what he did is he took his hockey knowledge, and he also knew that they were having a successful indoor season. And so we wanted to build a developmental league. And we wanted to frame it basically for American players to train to play indoors, and then hopefully it led to bigger and better things. So that's how I got involved with that, and it took up, and that was probably one of the best things. That was the best college course that I ever had, is hands-on work, building the entire league, which I did a little bit of everything for the league.
Yeah, and I remember, we had a conversation sometime last week, and we were talking about the Chicago Stingrays, the soccer team. And I mentioned the Michael Jordan documentary that I watched.
Yeah,
The Sting, yeah. And I mentioned the Michael Jordan documentary that I watched. And we talked a little bit about that. So how was that experience?
That was a wonderful experience. And the thing is that the players were wonderful to be around, the coaching staff, the administration. And matter of fact, it was basically, I got an internship from the Chicago Sting as far as how to do pre-games, how to do public relations, how to do marketing. And so we actually went over to a lot of games. And at that time, the Chicago Sting's indoor team, they were outdrawing the Chicago Bulls. And it was a great story because if you've heard stories about the old Chicago Stadium, well, we always got to go in and out of door 3.5. And that was exclusively for players and media. And so it was great to get in there. We did a lot of interviews, and that's where we had a lot of meetings. But when they had those games there at the old Chicago Stadium, that place would be packed and it would be rocking. It was a great experience, and very thankful for the opportunity that the Chicago Sting, the owner Lee Stern, Connie Colwell, who was the PR director, along with others there, they gave us the opportunity to learn and help develop and build our league.
Yeah, and off-topic question: did you ever get to meet Michael Jordan or like see him play live?
I saw Michael Jordan play about 4 or 5 times when I was in Chicago, so I did have that opportunity.
I'll ask you something else afterwards. But did you end up going to college or university?
Yeah, I went to Western Michigan University. Originally, I went back to Kalamazoo after being on the Detroit Express Reserve League, and things weren't going the way that I wanted to. And I figured, well, I'm going to go to a community college for a year, which I did. And then I stepped over and went and played at Western Michigan for 1 year. And that got kind of shortened, but that was also kind of a blessing in disguise because of what had happened. I turned around and then they had me doing the PA system for all of our home soccer games. And from there, things kind of grew and to where I am in the broadcast booth today.
Yeah. So with broadcasting, what do you enjoy about it?
I think the thing is, it keeps you involved in the game. The best thing, and I think there's probably a lot of coaches that can agree with this, is that at a certain point right now, especially in today's society, is coaches are hounded by helicopter parents. And there's nothing you can do, and they are constantly bugging you and complaining about their son or daughter not getting enough playing time and this and that. And they take the love of coaching because for most cases, when you're coach, you're not making a lot of money. You're doing it for the love of the game and to grow and watch these kids become better people down the road. That's the bottom line. And so because of that, being able to go up there and kind of speak my mind and talk about the game that I love and totally believe it's one of the greatest games in the world and don't have to worry about hiding myself coming out of a press box, for fear that I'm going to have parents coming after me to yell and scream or find email messages that, why am I doing this and doing that? So that's the one thing about broadcasting. It gives me an opportunity to stay in touch. I get to meet a lot of great people. I get to interview a lot of great players and coaches and the friendships. That's one thing which, soccer gives you the availability to do is that I have friends literally all over the world. And the soccer community, it's a tight knit community. And basically it's fun to grow your network because you never know when that network is going to come back tenfold to help you in any situation in life. And a lot of times it's great just to be able to reach out, talk to your players and see them. But yeah, broadcasting is even spreading, my wings even more and outreaching and, like getting a chance to meet you, and also to meet the owners of the Naples team here, to meet the staff and the players at Florida Gulf Coast University, where I'm the broadcasting voice for the men's and women's teams for all of their home games. And it's great to watch them grow. And the big thing, you get a big kick out of it, is being able to broadcast and know that some of these players are actually going to go to the big show. And I'm fortunate enough to have known some players that have played in the World Cup, in the Olympics, and are making money today playing the game that they love. And it's just, I wish I would have had that opportunity when I was younger, but it wasn't there.
Hmm. So now that opportunities are there for the next generation to make that happen. So with the players that you know that have made it and you've seen in the World Cup or the Olympics, what do you know about them? Like, how did they do it?
Well, basically, the thing is that it doesn't matter um, how they did it, because the thing is that it's kind of like you've got to have the DNA inside you. Because the thing is that in order to do it, you have to put in the blood, the work, the sweat, the tears, and then some, and going to give some more. Too many people want to rest on their laurels and not push themselves. They're looking for the easy way out. And that's one thing with any of those players that have gotten to that particular level. They have really put in the work and they did the extra work, which takes you to that next level. Um, Today's society, it's so much with social media, doing things on games, things like that. Instead of doing that, if you really want to go after it, you've got to go out and work. And that's one thing which you're fortunate enough in the game of soccer is that you don't need much space in order to hone your skills, develop your skills, and make you that better player, that player that you're going to stand out amongst the rest of the group.
Exactly. And we talked about some really interesting things that I've never ever heard in my life. And so being here in Florida and talking to you, Tim, so you did go into detail about uh, things that players should be doing. Players should be going to watch games and the reasons why they should be going to watch games. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, that's the one thing is that being an American, I was frowned upon for wanting to play soccer. And because of that, I took a lot of grief for it, but I brushed it off. And the thing is that during that period of time, we really didn't have coaches. And the only way that I really learned the game was to become a student of the game. And fortunately enough, I had our senior team that played. And I mean, I had gentlemen that were from Brazil, from Trinidad, from Africa, from Germany, from England, from the Netherlands that played the game of soccer. And each country has their own style and ideas of how to play it. And so what I did is I sat there and I literally watched the games and I learned. And what I did is a lot of times I was able to stand behind the goalkeeper. I would shag balls to retrieve them. And I would actually watch and see what the forwards were doing, what the defenders were doing, how a goalkeeper would move to do that. And that's a great way to learn the game. And that's one thing which I had my college, or I should say, my high school teams. What I would do is it would become a homework assignment because I would go, like I said, I would go to our senior games. Then I also had two colleges. I had West Michigan University and Kalamazoo College there. And I went to every single one of those games and I watched and I learned and I studied. And I said, I want to take this part and I'm going to add this into my game. And that's what I would do with my high school players is that I told them that number one, don't get pigeonholed into playing just one position. Learn every single position. Now, the current position that you're playing on your club team or your high school team, I want you to go watch this particular players who are on this, whether it's high school or college or professional. Watch what the player does. See what they can do. Take down little notes and try to put something in there that you can add into your game that's going to make you a better player. And so watching the game live, it's so much better. And it's such a great outreach of people. And that's one thing which I'm very surprised at down here in Naples is because of if we had a World Cup here, it would be absolutely crazy down here in Naples if we had that type of a game because of the melting pot, the nationalities and everything we have here. And people would love to go see that. But the thing is that I've gone out and I've talked to different players around here and they had me evaluate them if they're ready to move on to the next level or can they play. And so one of the questions which I asked the parents, I go, so what games did you go watch and see? Because we do have not only our local team, the Naples Football Club, United Football Club, but we also have Florida Gulf Coast University, which is a very good major team, but they have had great success in the NCAAs and they've won tournaments and they bring in outstanding players. You've got Miami United, you've also got Orlando. And so you've also got Tampa Bay. So there's a lot of places to go see soccer. And so I asked the parents, I said, so what games have you taken your son or daughter to see, to learn the game, to make them be able to dream and get excited about maybe wanting to play at the same level one day? And the answer I got is, oh, we've never even thought about it. They don't take kids out to games. They don't watch them. And that's a shame, because that's where you can go and you can really develop. And I'll go back to when I was back playing, is that I have some good friends with the Chicago Sting. I got to meet Karl-Heinz Granitza, Rudy Glenn, Brett Hall, and so Pato Marhenik. And so those guys, I actually, when I was still playing and having aspiration, but I would be in a situation where I would talk with them and I'd watch them. And the thing is that they also help guide you. And if we would bring kids out to that type of a setting, like with us here in Naples, if they came out and watched this United team, we've got a very talented team. And the thing is, these kids could learn so much, and they could dream about maybe, if they're a homegrown product, possibly playing for this team down the road. But if they don't go do it, then that dream is really not a reality to them, because they haven't even seen it. You got to open up the doors for the kids. And that's the one thing which I think we're going in the right direction, trying to reach out to the kids to get them here. And we've got to get them to come out and watch games. I think that's a very important part of it.
Yeah, that's a great point, Tim. I really appreciate you sharing that. So you did broadcast our game last Sunday. What were your thoughts?
It was an interesting game, from what we were hearing, because everything was brand new. I mean, we were opening up Christmas presents literally as we were getting the broadcast booth open for the first time at the stadium, setting up a brand new, streaming service, trying to get the mics hooked up, trying to get information from the team so you could have something to talk about. But overall, it was a very good, very exciting game for the players and the fans. The outcome was great, with us beating the team that has been the big dog in the league for the past few years. So it's nice to take that advantage. And I think that it's going to grow. And once we get the stadium completely opened up, I feel that it's going to be something that people can support and can rally around and really wrap their arms. And we can take this and hopefully take it to the next level that we would all like to see it happen here in Naples.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So Tim, where so what are three things that you would share with aspiring soccer players growing up right now that want to become professional soccer players? What would be three things that you would share with them?
Number one, you've got to have the work ethic. Without work ethic, that was the one thing which always saved me, is that I had such a high motor, and I worked and I worked, and when I got done, I went back to work again. That was, that's the big thing. The other thing is everybody, all these kids, they love to watch YouTube and videos and all this, and doing all the fancy footwork and these, spectacular kicks and do all this. The number one thing, especially when I was a college recruiter, do you have your basics down? Can you trap a ball, left foot, right foot? Can you hit a ball, strike it properly? Are you locking your ankles? Are you getting your hips in the right position? Can you head a ball at pace? Can you chest the ball? Can you put it down? Can you juggle? Can you do things one touch? Can you do it two touch? Because basically the thing is the stepping ladder for any soccer is that when you start out in the junior level, it's one pace. The next pace you move up, it gets faster. You get after that, it gets faster. You get up there, it's going to be faster. And the thing is that you have to be able to play this game at pace. And the thing is that you have to learn and you have to read what's going on, because too many times I see high school, especially, they kick a ball without purpose. You've got to have purpose. You got to know, because the thing is, you're just kicking it just to kick it. And that's not doing you or your team any good. Do it with purpose. Learn those types of things. And the big thing is, get your grades. You got to have grades, and you got to go on to play in college. College is a great training ground right now. We're seeing the number of players that have played college. And yes, they do have the academies. But the thing is that if you don't have your academics, you're not going to go anywhere. And I've seen so many outstanding potential talents wasted because they didn't have the grades. And the next thing you know, you're finding them, flipping burgers at a McDonald's. So get the degree, work hard, learn as much as you can, and get yourself in the best shape physically. You have to in today's society with soccer, because the way that we're playing games. I mean, you know, a lot of times when you're in college, you would be playing 3 games, 4 games in a week sometimes. You know, now they're trying to cut back on that. You play for an ODP team, or you're playing on these academy showcases where you're playing 4, 5, 6, 7 games over a period of a weekend. You've got to be in shape. And the thing is, the other thing that I would actually tell people, or young players coming up, play other sports besides soccer. The reason is that in your development, when you start getting, you know, 10, 11, 12 years old, the thing is that your body is developing and you're getting muscle memory, you're doing things, you're building your body, and your biomechanics of your body gets stronger. And by using and training it by playing some other sports, like personally,
Mhm.
I played American football, but I was only the kicker. I played tennis, but the other thing that really helped me is that I played ice hockey. So I played hockey, I played tennis, but the thing was, and I also played baseball. So I basically was getting my body ready to do whatever I wanted to. And that made me a better sport and a better athlete, which also in today's society where kids get injured so often, and a lot of times it's because of they overdo their body. They wear out the different parts. And if you're constantly doing the same thing over and over and over again, it's just like a car. You can do all the minor things. You put the oil stuff in there, but you change the tires. You got to get the brakes. You got to do certain things. You got to give it time down a little bit. That's just like your body. But if you can train your body and you play other sports, that's going to make you a better athlete. And a lot of times you're starting to see better athletes are now playing, you know, at a very high level. And in order to do it, I think that that's a real big thing, is to be able to play different sports to help develop into whatever professional type of an athlete you want to become, whether it's soccer, football, hockey, whatever.
Yeah, Tim, thank you for those points. I really appreciate you taking the time to let me interview you, and I hope you all the best with the broadcasting.
Yep, thanks. And don't forget, hey, come this Sunday if you want to see Kareem. Hopefully he's on the roster this week.
Yep.
That we are going to be having a big game against Central Florida Panthers, and you can find that game on Facebook. And what you do is go to the Naples United Football Club's Facebook page, and there will be a live stream. And you will hear me giving you the play-by-play starting at 6 o'clock. So come out and join us there if you can't come down and see us in person.
Nice. And Tim, where can the viewers also find you personally if they want to reach out to you?
Um, I'm on Facebook, and also I am on Twitter and Instagram. So I'm there, and I do a lot of business and meet a lot of friends and players right there, and then we become even better friends.
Awesome. All right. Thank you again, Tim.